What's up, Benjies? Welcome to the BingeWorthy podcast, part of the Geekish Network. My name is Johnny Randolph, and I am a speaker and a podcaster, and I've got the best damn co-host in all of entertainment. And my first co-host, his name is Mr. Chuck Babb. He is a serial entrepreneur. He's a game designer. He's part owner of the Geekish Network. Say what's up to the people, Chuck.
What's
up? And my next co-host is Mr. Centel. This guy, I call him the game spitter. He is an actor and a writer, and I call him that because every day on Geek Beast and right here on the BingeWorthy podcast, you can catch my man spitting that fire. Say what's up to the people, Centel.
What's going on, baby? Wednesday, BingeWorthy. I get to fight and argue with some of my favorite people. Yo, it's all friendly. Is it?
Is it?
And we got to give a shout out to our sister in her absence, Miss Courtney Scott Wright. We miss you, girl. We'll holler at you next week. What's going on, family? How y'all doing today, man?
Doing great. You know,
good. Now, the premise of our show is that every week we will binge watch a television series, and then we come right here to the BingeWorthy podcast, and we rate that series based on our unique BingeWorthy scale. We will rate that series at the beginning of the show. Then we will engage in a high-level conversation and discussion about that series. And at the end of the show, we will re-rate it again. And maybe some of our discussion points from our co-hosts can influence us to change our rating. Speaking of ratings, our BingeWorthy scale is at a number 5. We call it a full binge out. That means this property is outstanding. It is one of those must-see moments. It's one of those things that you will watch in 1 or 2 sessions. Maybe you curl up on the couch with the weekend with your boo thing and you all watch it in 1 or 2 sessions. At a number 4 is a full meal. Now, a full meal, it is not quite a full binge out, but it is definitely worth your time to invest in watching this property. At a number 3, we call this a mini meal. Now, a mini meal isn't bad. It's just not great. It's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Courtney, she always describes it as a TV dinner. You know, it's not going to really fill you up, but it's edible. At a number 2, we call that a snack. A snack, it is one of those things that you are watching it because, let's face it, ain't shit else on TV. NFL is over with. Like, we just had the Super Bowl. The NBA is over with. Netflix don't have anything new. Hulu don't have anything new. Disney Plus, just nothing. And you're just watching this because you don't got nothing else to do. And at a number 1, we call that a cringe-worthy. A cringe-worthy is just some old bullshit. And it's like I like to say, occasionally, Chuck, why the hell did you recommend that we watch this show?
I like how you always put this on me. You got 2 other people on here, including yourself, but I'm the one who's always recommending the shows. I'm just gonna put it out there. Most of the shows I recommend are fire, by the way. For those that don't know, I recommend fire shows.
Whatever helped you sleep through the night, Phil. All right, so tonight we are reviewing Kung Fu. And the premise of Kung Fu, it is set in present day. The series follows a young Chinese American woman whose personal issues force her to leave college and make a life-changing journey to the isolated monastery in China. Upon her return to America 3 years later, she starts using her martial arts skills and Shaolin values to protect her community when her hometown of San Francisco is plagued by ongoing crime and corruption. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to rate Kung Fu. I'm going to start with you, Chuck, man. How are you going to rate Kung Fu?
For those that don't know, Chuck is a very complex person. He's a complex character. You know, just let me put that out there. I'm very complex. I'm like Che Guevara with bling on.
All right, I feel you, Phil.
Complex. You know,
Che Guevara Blink on.
You know, and I have a thing with YA shows. YA shows. And this show hit me in my YA wheelhouse. I love this show. I giggled and snort like the high school girl that's built inside of me, that's hiding deep down in my dark soul, was giggling and snorting the whole entire time. Who thought the action scenes, which weren't stellar by any means, but they were good enough for any person that just looking at a TV show and binging it. I literally watched this show in one sitting, all but the last 2 episodes, and I'm giving it a full meal. I am
Full meal?
giving it a full
Okay.
meal.
All right. Well, I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna jump in here real quick. So, with you, Chuck, it's a YA show, so it's on a CW, and I'm actually surprised that I think this is our first show on the CW that we ever reviewed. And so if you're familiar with any CW shows, right, you know who the audience is for, right? I mean, let's not overcomplicate this, right?
Yes.
So if I'm judging this off of some complicated HBO type of show things, I might think about it a little differently. But I know what the target audience is. And it's mad YA. I mean, we've got literally K-pop, love triangles, problems with parents, right? We've got sibling rivalries, right? All of these things. So, but at the heart of this show, I found is this family. I just love this family, and it's a fun ride. And I know what they're trying to do. I know who they're targeting it to. So I don't have a problem with it. And it was something, that I could just sit back and have some fun with. I'm going to give it with Chuck. I found it to be a full meal. It's a CW full meal for me. And I'm going to say CW full meal. It's a CW full meal. That's how I'm gonna rate it.
Look at Centel, even biting his tongue the whole entire time.
I'm listening.
Our sister, who's not here, Miss Courtney Scott Wright, she's not here, but she sent in her review, and she actually gave it a full binge out. So she gave it a number 5 and full binge out. Well, I just saw that face. Just and it looks good. Like, was I watching something different, y'all? So the floor is yours, good sir. How are you going to rate?
What you gonna give it? What you giving it?
Listen. No, I'm going to say this before I get started. Listen. This project is needed in the CW space. Let me say this first. It's needed. There's not a lot of shows that have people of color that can maintain season after season. This is the very first one. So there's an audience out there that needs to see this. Seeing people of color doing interesting things with a complicated family, having complex things, trying to find positivity within their life. That is needed. It's necessary. But if you are not a CW fan, okay, and I dabble in the land of CW. I like The Flash. I dabbled a little bit with like Green Arrow and stuff. It doesn't really move me because I'm not a really angst-driven kind of person. I like my action a little bit more adult-oriented. If you are not in that CW space, this ain't for you. It's not. It falls short in a lot of ways. The story is not good. If I'm trying to figure out if it's called Kung Fu, but it doesn't have anything to do with either the original Carradine ripoff that Bruce Lee had or the Warrior version that Bruce Lee's sister put together. Daughter put together. It is its own thing, and you would think a title by the name of Kung Fu would have good Kung Fu in it, and it lacks in that area as well. You can't call yourself Kung Fu if you're doing CW Kung Fu. The Kung Fu is on the level of, I know y'all gonna be mad at me. It's no Warrior. Don't ever disrespect Warrior like that. Yo, the Kung Fu in this is on the level of Iron Fist. If you're comfortable with that Iron Fist-ish kind of Kung Fu, you'll be in the wheel space for this. But that's not to say that I don't recommend it. It is perfect for the lane that it is in. I'm not in that lane. I give this a snack.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So, all right. So we got 2 full meals, a binge out, and a snack. Some good diversity there. That gives us a 3.75. So we can round that up to a full meal at this point.
Full meal.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So cool. All right. Well, you guys touched on it a little bit. The original show named Kung Fu was created in 1972. And this show was pitched by the legendary and the great Bruce Lee. The studio loved this idea. They loved it so much they made it into a show, minus any Chinese people.
Because why? Because
They made it all white people.
Why they do that? Why they do that?
You know, can we just say a little bit of racism? We can say a little bit of racism
Just
there.
a little bit.
I think their excuse was that they felt America wasn't ready to have a show centered around an Asian American.
Yeah,
Some people still feel like that.
People still feel that.
Right. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that's racist. That's what we call racism. But in this version, they amended that, right? The heart of the show and the start of the show is Chinese family, Chinese American children. So Centel, I want to start with you, man. You're an actor. So how do you think the casting was for this show and the overall acting quality of the show?
I mean, the acting quality is CW quality. Nobody's going to be in here winning any Emmys. It's not for that, you know. I do like the proper representation, or at least what I'm assuming is a proper representation, because I also have to admit, in my ignorance, I am not of this culture, so I cannot speak on behalf on the authenticity of how the family is portrayed. But because I have a family of my own, I can empathize with a lot of the causes that's going on within the family, and I think that they did that very well. Like it's cotton candy. It's not good for you. It's sweet and it's fun while you're eating it.
Right. And what you said a few minutes ago, that's what struck me. It's like, I'm not Asian or Chinese, but I could relate to that family dynamic. The mother, the father, the sibling rivalries, all of those things. So they struck a chord with me, and it resonated with me. Chuck, man, the show is called Kung Fu. We know how Centel felt about these action sequences. What are your thoughts about the action sequences of Kung Fu?
They didn't tell the greatest of stories, but I was okay with the action. Actually, I was like, okay, this is what I would expect for the crowd to see this. If they did a lot of slow-mo, there's a lot of slow-mo in this, and I realized that the crowd that it's appealing to couldn't handle high-speed action. The crowd that it's appealing to is not going to watch Warrior. They're going to watch it for the bodies and miss all the action and only focus on the women in Warrior and how pretty they were.
I agree.
So they're not going to deal with that. And for us that love action and are into that, we're expecting at minimum Marvel level action or DC level action, where DC level action is hard and brutal. And if you're Christopher Nolan, you do a lot of quick cuts. This they gave the full action sequences. It was like not great martial artist, but for a girl that studied kung fu for 3 years, I thought she did okay, considering she was chosen as a warrior, which gave her a buff to be really strong, OP. And the other woman I thought was really good at martial arts. What's her name?
The villain,
the
bad girl.
She was bad.
She was good.
She was bad.
Her choreography was
badass.
good.
You can see the disparity of levels there. Even the boyfriend, his disparity in level was there. You know, when they fought the people into the house, when they did the room raid, they're raiding that girl's house, and the way they were fighting, I was like, oh, that's believable. I can see that fight.
The protagonist, Olivia Lang, she said she'd never done martial arts until she got this role.
You can absolutely tell.
It shows. Yeah, it shows. You can tell.
Yeah, she said as an Asian American actress, she intentionally never learned martial arts because a lot of times that's what they expect out of an Asian actress or a Chinese actress. And she was like, she didn't want to fall into that trope. And she said what attracted her to the story was, although it's Kung Fu, it's like, it's the family dynamic.
It's the family. I mean, let's be honest. There weren't a lot of fight scenes in this show called Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Why are you calling it kung fu? If your lead actress can't do kung fu and you're not gonna put a lot of kung fu in the show, don't call it kung fu.
I like the show, but the action sequences were not. It was points where I thought they literally telegraphed the pass, the fight, the punch. He was like, the punch is coming, duck. Move out of the way. I was like, what are we doing here, man? As it went on a little farther, it got a little better. And I thought they had to do the slow-mo. If they didn't do the slow-mo.
One thing I did with Nikki, I liked about Nikki, as she fought stronger villains, her fighting did improve. Like her brother called her out in the first episode. Like, I saw you do a high kick. I didn't know you can jump that high. I didn't know you can jump that high. So you something special about you. And so she was one of those people that's trying to still figure out her power at the time.
But like we dragged Iron Fist for making this exact same mistake. We dragged Iron Fist, right? And if it's good, if we can drag Iron Fist, we can drag this too. And we said the same thing in Iron Fist. And we're like, why in the world would you have a kung fu master who can't do kung fu? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you cast that? Where in what part of your world where you're like, that's a great idea, And that's the part that's frustrating because it could have been some phenomenal choreography regarding some of the fight sequences that could have made up for the overly heavy YA elements that could attract somebody like me a little bit more, where I can fast forward through the YA and get you the cool action scenes. But for somebody like me, I couldn't fast forward through nothing. I was just stuck in this limbo.
I think they purposely did that. I think they did it, Centel, just because they wanted to feel like she was only 3 years learned in the Shaolin monastery. So she's not really.
Don't call it kung fu.
She's not a kung fu.
Call it something else.
I thought they tried to
they call it something else.
3 years she was there to make her like almost a master because she really didn't lose to anybody.
She didn't, because she's the warrior.
No.
So she had the buff of her legacy behind her and her superpower that's attached to her. Like, she was superpowered. And so that was what she had, the buffer. But she didn't have that. She would have went out there and got her butt kicked. I think that's what they was. They want to say, hey, the only reason that you're winning these fights is because you are superpowered. You are chosen through a lineage of women.
It's in her bloodline.
For about 1,000 years.
And
she did get better, though. She did get better.
She got better. I thought it went on.
She did get better. I'll give her that.
People, her abilities was better.
I just thought they should have did a better job of maybe the stunt coordinator or something like that. Like I said, there were some points I was just like, they were like, move out of the way. The punch is coming.
I think the storytelling in the fight was really
raise your hand to block it. And I was just like, well,
it was like old school. It was like old television fighting. It was old television fighting. Like
just
from
call the show.
80s. He's like, don't
just
call
the
it
show.
Nikki
Just call the show. Nikki comes home. We'll call it that. And then I got my expectations.
Or they could call it Shaolin weapons. They could call it Shaolin.
No, don't reference any martial arts whatsoever. Just call it Nikki Comes Home, and we find out that Nikki has studied a little bit, and then we'll be good. Don't call it kung fu. Don't do that.
All right, so we're talking about the action sequences here. So, and we've talked about it a little bit. So, what do we think about Nikki as our protagonist? How do you guys feel about Nikki as our protagonist for this show? Chuck, how do you feel? How'd you like
Nikki as our protagonist? I mean, they picked a woman, a girl that was really all about personality, right? She wasn't overly pleasing on the eyes, in my opinion. That's my graceful opinion. I don't think she was like they didn't make her a bombshell. They made her smart, but she dropped out of Harvard. And they made her like a likable person. She was a likable person. As stubborn as she was likable. Like, this is my mission. This is all I've been called for. And it makes sense because this is a girl who played by all the rules that everybody told her to play by, then woke up one day and it's like, this is not what I want to do, and found something that she latched on to. So I can see that. I've been that person. I've even been that person.
Okay. Santel, what about you, man? How'd you feel about Nikki as a protagonist?
Now, listen, I know I've joked around about the action choreography and stuff like that. It does need work, but it is in the lane of the CW. You also have to keep in mind, all of this is in the lane of CW. This is acceptable. All of it is. I'm being very overly critical for jokes and lulls as well. And regarding Nikki, I thought, there's a term when you watch football and they say he's not going to lose you the game when you're talking about your quarterback. he's not going to win you the game, but he ain't going to lose you the game either. I think Nikki's in that wheelhouse, and that's more so because her, the action kung fu stuff isn't necessarily on par. But in the times where you're like going through this journey of her trying to figure her shit out and figure out these dudes, these two men, and figure out her family, that part was done well. It was. Like I said, she's not winning no awards, but that's not what this is about. She did a good enough job to move the chains.
Yeah. And I thought she was good. She knew her capabilities, her limitations. And you know how sometimes we get some heroes, especially they do it, I feel like, with women characters, they get them into situations where they cause everybody else around them to get hurt. I thought Nikki did things to help people, and she didn't put any of her friends and family at risk because of her desire or her stubbornness to get things done. She was a capable kung fu artist. She knew her skills. She was smart, and she would even recruit family members or friends out there or allies to help her achieve her missions. Like multiple times she reached out to her sister, right? Because her sister is a whiz with the computers, right? So if I need some help, I'm just not going to go in this blindly, just do something. And then everybody's got to come risk getting me hurt, risk to get me, and then everybody else get hurt, right? No, we got a plan going in here, right? We're going to hack something. Her brother, then her boyfriend. So I thought from a stance of a protagonist, I thought she was a good person. I thought she was a good protagonist. I enjoyed watching.
One thing I like too is that she would have her moments where she's talking to Pei Ling, her Sifu. And those moments I thought were really dear because she was like, the Sifu was part of her conscience. We need to do things differently. Sure, we did it this way, but you don't have to do that. One thing I know about you, you do things your way. Don't worry about what you think is right and what you think is safe for everybody. Ask people for help.
Right.
I don't like that. I
And
like
it was her ability thing, not just jump into things gung ho and risk everybody things. She had a conscience, and she's a very likable protagonist. I thought.
Yeah, because usually television writes women as naive, bullheaded, dumb. They get in trouble, then some man or a group of their friends have to come and rescue them, and she was never that person.
Snooki Stackhouse syndrome is what I call.
That's a good one. I think they like in Hawkeye. I think they gave that to Kate Bishop. They did that, and I was like,
we're not going to ever revisit that ever again.
We're not.
And Kate Bishop will run circles around the yellow.
We're not. No. We're not going down this rabbit hole. We're not. We're not ever going to revisit that again.
You're right.
Sorry for bringing it up.
And my bad too.
Sorry for bringing it up.
I apologize.
Y'all have to watch the episode of what you call it to know what we're talking about. What was that show?
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, you gotta watch Hawkeye. Yeah. But we're gonna move right on past that.
Okay, but I like the fact that she leaned on her Sifu. I liked her Sifu's sister. I thought her Sifu's sister.
Well, let's jump into that. The Sifu is, for any series to be good, it's only as good as the villain, right? Challenges our protagonist. What you guys think about our villain? I guess the villain for this show.
Oh man. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say. I think it's actually the flip for me. I liked watching her fight the few times I got a chance to see it. But when she did fight, it was like, oh, okay, you definitely have some experience at least. But just her, she's just middle of the ground, and then it's middle of the road, because you don't want to overly hate her, and then they try to make her somewhat likable through some of the relationships that she experiences on her path. But there wasn't anything that made me be like, yeah, that's my standout villain. I just, she was spectacularly mediocre.
Spectacular mediocre.
But she could fight. I liked her fight scenes.
Okay.
I did like her fight scenes.
Okay. What about you, Chuck, man? How'd you feel about?
I didn't think she was mediocre. I think at best the acting hurt her more than anything else. I thought I thought that character was kind of complex. Like she knew she couldn't love anything, right? Her sister killed her father. She's a young girl, couldn't process it, got abandoned. Sister comes back when she's grown and somewhat successful by the guy that was trying to get her dad to sell the artifacts to her, Russell Tan. the fact that she actually fell in love with Russell Tan's son, Kerwin, because he hated his father. And the fact she realized that was her weak point and actually killed him, I was like, wow.
That was a believable moment for y'all, was it?
Because
I was sitting there like
at first
So
I thought she was just playing. I thought
let's
she was
get some
just playing.
backstory to her then, right? So
Okay. All right.
she's out there, and she's a foil to everything that Nikki is trying to do, and
Right.
she finds a guy that she falls in love with, or what we feel like she
I
falls
thought she
in
was
love.
playing him at first. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
just playing him.
And
She playing him.
I mean, it's typical. It's YA. Like, this has always happened. Like, I love you, but I've got to kill you. It's all that. But they start dating and they build up a relationship. And as they build up a relationship, come to find out that he is the son of one of her enemies.
Yep.
And in a moment, we see her then kill him.
Yep. After
She
her
says, I
father
fell
was
in
like,
love with
"Come
you."
home.
Right.
Leave her alone.
Yeah.
Just come home. We can handle that.
Yeah,
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's what his dad said. His dad
Yeah.
was like, "Yo, you don't understand what you're walking into."
Yeah,
like,
come on home.
and I'm like, "This dude, like, you really that naive, my guy?"
Yeah,
Like,
he fell for her because she supported the fact that he was against his father. Like, he was
right, and she's probably the first. Right, everybody in his circle always kowtows to his father. It's like she's the first person with independent thought that believed in him for who he was. So he ain't the first guy that some woman done put it on him, and he was like, "Yeah, I believe in what you said, baby." He ain't the first one.
Whatever it is, I got you. Whatever it is.
And she talks about she's never loved anybody after what her sister did to her father. And so she didn't grow up with anybody to love. And here it is, this guy is like a puppy dog after her. And it was like, and they had a similar aim, right? Let's destroy my father. And so she found a comrade in that. She was a loner the whole entire show. So, for YA, I thought
it would have been.
Is there some? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Centel.
No, but I think that to me was the weakness of her character. It's like she would have been dope if she was just solo. She was doing her own thing. She's got this master plan that she's about to put out. She could kick ass. She's serious. She's got like her own grunts working for her. I'm like, yo, you dope. And then they bring in like this random love element. And I'm like, for what?
16-year-old girls.
Why?
I know
That's
what I'm saying. No, but I'm saying for the lane it's in, I get it. I understand. I do. I get it. But for me, I'm like, this is unnecessary. Why?
You see how hot Kerwin was with his shirt off? That's why they did it. That's why they did it.
And it was all the guys went shirtless in this series. All the guys went shirtless in this series. So it was like, the girls who, this is like, why?
Even the gay brother was shirtless in this series.
I want to ask a question though.
Yo,
did watch her older sister, whether it was intentional or by accident, kill her father? That's gotta have some impact on.
She did it by accident. Yeah, then she bounced on her. It was like,
right, that's what I'm saying. So regardless of whether it was intentional by accident, and then she leaves, like she carried that, and that's gotta. I don't know. That would impact me in my life if I watched something like that. So it would influence my outlook out there. So it's like it's one of those things. Like maybe she took it too far, but I don't know. Did she have some justification?
And she actually blamed Russell Tan. Like the sister hated the father too. She hated her sister for abandoning her and hated her sister for killing her father, but she hated the man that was behind it all. And so we don't know what her ultimate goal was for the weapons. We never figured. She never told us. She just wanted the weapons and wanted that power to do something. And they set it up to seem like it was evil intentions, but we don't know what her intentions were. We have truly no. Her intentions could be probably to bring her father back, bring her mother back. We don't know, but we know she knew she was a guardian. She was from the bloodline of Guardians. She did.
She's from the bloodline of Guardians, and Nikki was from the bloodline of the Warriors, and they worked in tandem previously throughout here to sort of protect this sort of magic.
So that I found that very interesting. That like she was doing villainous things, but we don't never know her intentions. We don't know if her intentions were noble to herself, noble to us, noble to the world. All she said was Russell Tan is an evil person, and we need to wipe him of the world of him, wipe everything away from him.
Because he wants to control everything.
Yep. And Kerwin, his son, realized how evil his father was and just stayed away from him. And here it is, the hot chick that can fight comes along and, puts it on him and then gets in his head till he killed his ex-best friend who works for his father.
Yeah.
Which is a very white thing to do.
Right. It's YA, right? Because every girl is like, I want somebody to love me like that. He would fight his best friends for me.
Yeah.
Kill his best friend.
And we literally had a love triangle between Nikki, what's his name, and her old boyfriend, Evan. Yeah, we literally had one. They took it so far, they literally put them on a road trip together.
Yes.
They did put them on a road trip together.
Oh my God.
So they're going on a mission, right? And Nikki, her former boyfriend and her soon-to-be boyfriend, they all go on a road trip together to find Nikki's auntie.
Yes.
Who was like a hermit in the woods? Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Because she had the power. She took the power.
She had the power, right?
She took the power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the successor for that one because it went from the mother, because she was a warrior. The mother was a warrior when she was younger, but she was scared of it. So then it got passed on to the sister, and then from the sister on to Nikki. And that's one of the points that Nikki brings up was like, I've got to do something with this because I don't want it to impact my sister's children or my brothers or even my children.
It has to come to an end. I found that quite noble. And it's so funny because, right, she's with Henry. And I was like, if she chooses Evan over Henry, I'm going to flip my damn table.
Henry, that's right. Henry,
If she chooses Evan over Henry, because I thought she was going to go back to Evan the whole entire time. I was like,
season 2.
Evan, that's when they're going to do it. And I'm looking at Evan like, you about to get married. And you about to give up your little hottie wife with your high school girlfriend. She's your high school girlfriend, homie. She's not your
college too. They were college too.
Okay,
because like when she was going to Harvard.
Let me tell you something. He had the hottie little fiance. He's gonna throw it all away.
Hey,
he
man.
risked it all. He risked it all.
I'm gonna risk it all.
She was the one that got away. The mom literally sent her away. Was like, this white boy is not coming into our family. We are not messing up this 1,500 years of pure Chinese warrior with this redhead Irishman. It is not happening.
Yeah, and I was thinking that I was like, what would her grandma think? Because her grandma wasn't about
Popo was about that
like,
business. She was like one of my favorite characters too, because she didn't say nothing. She walked in like Popo's coming. I was like, who's this Omar from The Wire? She was like Omar from The Wire.
Yo, for Dennis, Popo coming. Make sure her tea right. You don't want her tea to not be right.
And Dennis's mom, and I was like, oh man, not Dennis's mom, Aletha's boyfriend's fiance's.
Yeah.
What's his name? What is his name? Dennis. His name is Dennis.
Dennis. Yeah, Dennis.
Dennis's mom, she was no joke neither.
I don't know. I was like, Dennis's mom, she kind of tripping. Why is she coming to the bachelorette party?
She did just show up to the bachelorette party.
Yeah, like, come on.
She want to check and make sure her son's straight. Make sure make sure this little harlot knows her place.
Right. She ain't out here thought with my son. Like, we got a lot of money tied up in here. We don't want this stock coming up in here.
Yo, she was like, nah, prenup.
No, prenup. I love how Aletha confronted her though. I like that scene when she confronted her. Was like, this is who I am. Yes, they called me splits in high school because I used to do the splits. Yes, I was gonna drink from the child. So Aletha was like, I'm not trying to be this. I gotta be right and proper for Dennis. Dennis like, it's just my mom. What are you doing?
I get the nervousness, right? You know, you got mom-in-law and everything. That's why I was like,
I instantly thought of Aunt Pumpkin. I said Aunt Pumpkin.
Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine her going like to the bachelorette party with like our wives? Right, that would be horrible for them. And she already doesn't think any woman's good enough for us. She literally doesn't.
She literally doesn't. She literally doesn't.
Not for my boys.
Oh, she show up to the bachelorette party,
and be so judgmental.
But see, that was just sitting there. She be pulling us before the wedding, like, I don't think she the one, baby. I don't think she the one. Like, Auntie, what you talking about?
Yeah, but I did when Aletha turned around and bucked up to the mom, and the mom was like, look, my issue is not that you're not the one. Sure, you know, you're this little vivacious girl that came in my son's life who has always been quiet and nerdy his whole entire life. And I didn't want him to be taken advantage of.
Right. I get that.
And that's what I'm supposed to do as a mother.
And those were real characters. Those were things that I
because
talked
he was
about
playing
with
Dungeons and
family.
Dragons at his bachelor party.
Right. The family that related to me, I was the most work. That was the worst. I mean, we all nerds here, but that was the worst bachelor party I'd ever seen.
Me
in my
too.
life.
That's what he wanted, though. You know, he's and so that tells us a lot about
Hey,
Dennis, right?
it
Like
does,
everybody
but
thought Dennis was the rich guy, the suave rich guy. And he was like, no, my family does family community
hey,
service. My family reaches out back into the community. They do
I get
this and do this. And she was like, let me sign that NDA.
hey, I get it. I get it.
Mhm.
But as much as I love Dungeons and Dragons, that's not what we're gonna be playing. That's not what we're gonna be playing in my
Not
bachelor
that
party.
We're doing Dungeons and Dragons,
that
but
night.
not that type of Dungeons and Dragons.
It ain't gonna be that
we
version
might
of Dungeons.
cosplay now. Yeah, we might cosplay. There
Right.
ain't no dice gonna be rolling.
Yeah, right. We ain't doing that version
Only
of Dungeons.
dice that can be rolling is the safety of my life.
Yeah, so yeah.
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 Oh man. So but I do like all the characters in this. And the father, when the father found out the mother's been holding on to this secret.
And he left.
He
I was
left.
like,
He's like,
yes.
He's like, I'm
I'm
out.
out.
I need time to think. He wasn't gonna leave the wife. He was gonna leave her. He just needed to get away. Like, you held us away from her. You drove her away because of this. And you didn't tell me. You know?
I was a little on the fence. I was like, are we gonna get a divorce or
Only thing
anything?
that was
But
gonna
again,
happen.
that's YA. It was like the parents are going through marriage strife. It's like every formula like that we needed for some teenage girl or some teenage boy to watch. It's like it was there. It was there. So
Yeah, you know what else was there? You know what else was there?
What's that?
what was
The
that?
Black Lives Matter episode. The episode was there. That was also there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had Black Lives Matter. We have
You
did.
ever seen that meme? You ever see that meme and it's Bart Simpson, he's holding the cake and it said, well, at least you tried. He's sitting there like,
Mm-hmm.
that was that episode.
So let's provide some context and some background. There is a little black boy. He's on a skateboard, right? And he just skates throughout San Francisco, happy go lucky. He actually accidentally bumps into Nikki and was it Nikki and what's his name? What was his name? What's Nikki's boyfriend name?
Henry.
Oh,
Henry.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Henry. They're going out and he bumps into him and he apologizes profusely. And she's like, Henry's like, yo, Nikki, baby, you need to watch out. You're great at Kung Fu, but you're not good at walking these San Francisco streets. So they go on about their date. Then the next thing we find out is the little black skateboarder. He's been shot by the police because they thought he was breaking into some restaurant or something like that. A couple of days later, we find out my man dies. Yes, he died. And so they then are going to stage a Black Lives Matter rally. And Nikki's brother is dating one of the organizers of the Black Lives Matter rally. About some, I don't know. What Chantel, you brought it up. What were your thoughts, good sir?
Well, I mean, the just lickety split happy ending. I was like, okay, so the police are in there and you're just, they're pretty much wagged the finger and they just walked out, humbled with their hat in hand. I was like, wow. No, not at all. I was like, if they would have put the billy clubs on them, so you can see what happens to black people and show it for your beautiful YA audience, and then dragged him out cuffed and bloodied, I'd have been like, nah, you on it. But it's like, hey, I learned my lesson. Everything okay. So that's what I'm saying. Listen, they tried. I'll give them that. You get an E for effort. You tried, but that's not kind of like how that goes.
It isn't.
That's not how that goes.
It's not.
No.
It is funny how they take our trauma and capitalize on it, and that bothered me. That whole episode bothered me. I was like, here it is, another opportunity for the producers and writers of this, not sure what their ethnicities are, capitalize on it. And some of them may have the best intentions, right?
Yeah, I think they did have the best intentions. I totally do think that.
But there are many graves laid with people that were doing things for the best intentions, and the best intentions happened to them.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm with you guys in that. I concur. It really didn't move the series along, right? I mean, we didn't
filler episode.
Right, right. We did.
I think it was a knee-jerk reaction because it was during that time when they went in production. It was like, we have to address this. How tone deaf will we be if we don't address this in our show? Let's address it.
And it felt that way.
And
it felt that way.
It felt that way.
Yeah.
And they don't think they know we're wise enough to know better. But to the 16-year-olds and 13-year-olds, particularly 13-year-olds they're talking to, would they know any better?
Again,
everybody stands up. I'm such and such.
Yes.
They'd have been like, oh, good, you can get this Billy Club too.
Get this Billy Club too.
I'm about to say they about to get a whole bunch of teens to get their ass kicked.
Oh yeah, we're about to beat some sense into this whole restaurant. Yo, get the paddy wagon.
Right.
Yep. Let's talk about the brother though. Let's dive into the brother, right? Like the best scene I saw was when the brother and the father in that hotel they go to for the summers. They go up to for the summers, and he sat there and was like, you're mad at mom for hiding something, but you don't know what it's like to have to hide something and live the lie. And soon you believe it because you find comfort in it and you find safety in it. And, and the father realized like, oh crap, this is what we did to you.
Mm.
Yeah.
And we didn't say anything when you came out to us. Because you got to forget, the brother was estranged when they didn't respond to him when he said he was gay. And they didn't respond to him, and he was like, I take it they're not happy with me. I'm the only son, and I'm gay. I'm into the same thing my sisters are into. And so he bounced. He was this strange brother and left.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons he was mad at Nikki, because Nikki was his only confidant in that family, and she left him.
She left him. Mm-hmm.
And I thought
the father was like, I apologize for being silent, but I was thinking how brave you were to tell us this.
Yeah. I thought that came around really well, because when, they bought the black cat around, she was like, is this your boyfriend? And he was like, well, yeah. Maybe. Kind of.
Yeah.
So I like that. Again, this family is the hidden jewel. I know it's called Kung Fu, so we should have a
Kung family. Should call Kung family.
Right, Kung Fu family is maybe maybe a better title we would have got.
Or restaurant family.
Nikki comes home.
Nikki comes home to the family.
Nikki comes home. Nikki comes home
to the family.
Nikki comes home to the family before his sister's wedding to find love and stop murdering us.
Nikki's back in San Francisco. And I think naming something is as bad as they did for the Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, and yet they shot the whole thing in China. Like, how racially tone deaf were we for that? And it was and they had the name. It was Kung Fu Kid up to like the last week, and some executive producers like, Kung Fu Karate, they're the same people. Let's call it Karate Kid 3.
Doesn't matter.
What does it matter? We'll make more money if we call it Karate Kid.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about Karate Kid because it makes me think of.
Yeah. No rabbit holes. No rabbit holes.
Yeah, we don't want no rabbit holes.
But I think they should have named it better than Kung Fu. But it's a catchy name.
But maybe the idea was to
draw girls in, because girls are thinking, what is this about? Oh, they have Kung Fu in it. Okay.
But maybe the idea was to revamp the whole
it was.
And they probably realized, like, in the 1970s, we were racist as fuck, right? So let's try to do better, right? Especially since we had the success of Warrior, right? We had the success of Warrior. Yes. Warriors come back. So it's like, let's try to amend that in some way. And they just, the Kung Fu, for a series called Kung Fu, is not the biggest, like, proponent of it, but this family, again, is a jewel. This family, and so like
the family had me in it.
Yeah, we can make it up. And this is they're just an all-around American family that like people can relate to.
Yeah, you know what makes it interesting? The villain had a broken family,
right?
And she broke part of it. Like, the sister killed the father, then she killed the sister, and they had a completely broken family. And yet, what kept Nikki strong was family. Like the whole scene where she's like, "Oh, you're gonna do what I tell you to do, because I got people at your wedding." Don't think I didn't think this through. They're like, Xylene was smart as hell. She's like, "I got this stuff," and the fact they had code language of when the brother got bullied for being gay,
right? he picked up on it. Was like, I think she's trying to tell me
The sister did.
something.
Aletha did. The
Yeah,
other sister
both of
picked
them.
it
No,
up.
both of them
And then
did.
this other sister said okie dokie. And she was like, oh, because that was coded language for them.
Yeah.
When the police showed up, I'm like, well, what are y'all arresting them for? They're just sitting in
I
their
thought
cars.
they had guns on them.
Yeah,
That was the only thing I thought, like they had weapons and stuff on them, and maybe that was the reason. Because I thought about you too. I'm like, people can park outside of a house.
Nobody has guns in this whole show for the most part. Everybody's got swords and
That's
melee
what
weapons.
she said they can come in and hurt you, and they won't be using swords. That's what old girl.
okay.
That's what she said.
Oh, okay.
She did say that. So I figured the only way the
guns.
police were able to arrest them is like because they had guns and things like that. Other than that, you just can't arrest people for parking on the street in front of a house.
I mean, unless you black. I mean, if they were all black and the police showed up and arrested somebody,
They were in black
in
in black vehicles. Close
your
enough.
ass is going in the paddy wagon. This ain't your neighborhood. Get your ass in the paddy wagon.
Hey, been brothers and sisters out there arrested and beat up far less.
That's what I'm saying.
Question. How'd y'all feel about the magic coming into the show?
It seemed random. And because to me, it seemed random because they didn't even talk about magic until like the last 30 minutes of the episode. So I was like, how did we kind of get into the supernatural thing? But I figured that plays more of a bigger role if we have a season 2, which I've heard it's already been great.
Yeah, it's in production. What do you think, Centel?
Well, they hinted around to it with the glow of the weapons. And then they also, did a really good bit of plot armor by saying that because the weapons have been out of circulation for so long that they've lost a lot of their magical ability. And it also makes sense that if this is your first season, you're not trying to blow the budget on special effects.
Yeah.
So I get that. I totally get that. And I was with it. And then when they brought it in at the very end, I mean, I'm like, you drug me this far. So sure. Fine. We'll roll with it.
Yeah, you used the word glow, and I couldn't help but thinking when they were punching each other, I was like, "Is this the last dragon?"
That's what I thought. I was just gonna say that.
And when you said glow, it triggered it. I was like, "It's literally
because that was the fight scene for the last dragon." I was like, they literally put the last dragon fight scene in here. Because they put the last dragon fight scene. I was like, "Oh, this is the last dragon. This is Bruce Lee versus Show Enough right here."
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But you know what I would. You know what I would have really enjoyed? Like if you're if you're not gonna have a kung fu show that's based in kung fu on the same level as like Warrior or say Enter the Badlands, then jump the whole shark with the kung fu. Like bring in wires. Especially like a lot of early Chinese cinema used a lot of wire work, and some of it did look a little over the top, but that was like. It was like fitting for the moment. Now, if they did that with the kung fu work, I would have been like, all right, cool. Like just go, but don't. I guess it's the part where you're trying to make it a little bit realistic, and nobody's capable of making it like realistic. So when they added magic to it, I was like, sure. I mean, if it helped distract me from that, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. They did bring in a little bit of wire work because she jumped really high.
Slow mo. It was like some generic Matrix
it was old school Matrix
effects, and that technology is like 20 years old, but it was like, well, maybe,
But that might have made it a little bit more fun. It's like, go over the top of the kung fu. If you can't get it, then go all out, right? Yeah. Don't half measure it.
Especially when we had even those wire work kung fu films, the staccato of the kung fu was so good. Yeah, like the pauses, they doing their pot. And but they literally gave us the last dragon level kung fu. Because Bruce Lee versus Show Enough was horrible kung fu too.
Oh, it was bad.
It was
you've seen
it. But you couldn't tell me that. You could go down a rabbit hole. You couldn't tell me that. I still get excited watching Bruce Lee and Show Enough.
Facts.
So imagine being the target audience from here, and the target audience and being from the same gender and the same ethnic groups. The predominant ethnic group of these people, and be like, yeah, I get it. The racial.
But you know what though? You said something that's very that really makes me put it put things into consideration as well. Like if you're like, 13 years old, 13-year-old girl, and you're watching this, you're not really going to be watching Warrior because that is as R-rated as it possibly can get. And Enter the Badlands is hyper violent. So there needs to be a space where you can still enjoy the choreography and still, and still root for your favorite person in a safe space. So yeah.
And not everything that's for children has to appeal to adults. We've gotten so spoiled with Disney and Pixar. Well, Disney is kind of raw because they kill parents in the first scene of like almost every animated feature they've done. They kill a parent in open sequence almost every animated feature.
You love your daddy, not anymore.
Yeah, we're going to kill one of them parents is going to die.
Yeah, we kill him, yeah.
And we're going to make you an orphan quick.
No, I think you all really couch it. I'm glad we brought up The Last Dragon because I was like, Bruce Leroy and showing up to me is legendary shit. It's still in my mind is big great.
Let me say, my heart fluttered at that scene because it brought me back to that. And I can't imagine being a 13-year-old girl watching this.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh my God,
get her, telling me that wasn't a great fight scene. I would have been like, what?
And let's be honest, this is for tweens, so you got 10-year-old girls watching.
Right.
10.
Yeah. I mean, one of the main people that was in the entire series was a K-pop star.
Right.
Kung Fu was better than the leads, actually.
Yes.
He actually knew what he was doing
used the
with the
media
ball.
hammer. Oh, he was pretty tight.
A K-pop star who knows Kung Fu.
Yeah,
because he's a guardian. He's a guardian.
Yes, I get it. But I love it. I loved it. Yeah, and they're at a K-pop concert. And they're like, look at her butt. What do you mean, look at her butt? Like, I could see some 13-year-old girl seeing that. And it's like, it's the tickets in her butt. We can get the tickets. Like, yes. Because when you couldn't tell me Bruce Leroy didn't catch that bullet with his teeth, man. He caught that bullet with his teeth, man.
Yeah. But the way he worked that meteor hammer was nice. That meteor
he did his thing with that though. Yeah. Like that was actually pretty good. He did a good job.
Kicked it around and everything. And it lets you know how strong Jai-Lin was. She was really strong. She was
that was a good scene for her.
Did we ever have a doubt like that she was a super badass? Because she beat her sister's ass who was badass. Like there was in my opinion, there was never a doubt of her capabilities as a Kung Fu artist. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it closed out that whole dojo. She's like, I don't give a damn about none of your students or you. You all gonna catch this heat.
Right. And even in the last episode, she walks up in there with all the students like,
she's like, you even remember what I just did? You're still rebuilding from the last time I showed up.
Right. She's looking at him like, I ain't even come here for all that. I'm talking to her. Now go sit y'all little asses down. When I get done with her, then we can talk. But like
they had the sticks in her face, and she's like, "Stop, really, girl, don't do this.
Y'all don't want this heat."
Please,
I so like.
You don't want me to take this jacket off.
I so like. She's like, I know your weakness. I know your weakness. It's your family, and Nikki's face just crumbled. Like, I got you. We're gonna fight you. All of us gonna beat you. All of us together can beat you. She's like, hold on. Let me tell you something. I know your weakness.
I love everything about it when they was in a little thing and she was like, I don't know what to do. She was like, bitch, it's an instinct. And you already know this. I don't need to be telling you this shit.
She showed us Saturday. She's like, if you don't get your dumb ass over there on that side of that safe and open this.
Shout on her.
We gonna figure this shit out.
She did shout on her.
Shut your ass up. We gonna get that lock.
She did shout her out.
She was like, yo, don't make me come over there.
Speaking of that. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. How about the end sequence, like the lead to the second season, where Kerwin is still alive? The father, Russell Tan, gets back to his son. His son has a throat thing on, and he was like, "Oh, the power's in the world now. This makes it easier for me to gather it all up."
I was like, that's some hella Chinese medicine to make that do, because she cut his throat, and she don't strike me as the type of person to leave a job undone. I was like, how the hell did he survive that?
Yeah. And I wonder what's gonna happen if he comes back, because he's gonna be chasing Jai-Lin. He's not gonna chase Nikki. That's not gonna be his bag. That's what I'm assuming. I mean, that's not his bag.
Mm-hmm. Be interesting. It's been renewed for a season 2, so we'll get one, at least 2 seasons. So we
know some people on the cast, you guys. We know people on the cast. We know
do we?
On the crew, yeah.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah. I mean,
and we know one of our friends is the editor for it.
Okay, nice.
We got
Nice.
peoples. We probably bring them on the show with us.
Okay.
I for one am happy that it got a second season because it needs that representation in that space. It needs it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And hey, the Geekish Network is all about representation, proper and adequate representation. Absolutely. All right, fellas. So we talked about it. Let's go back and re-rate it again. We started with Chuck last time. So Centel, we're gonna start with you, man. This time. You gonna rate it the same, or how you gonna rate it? I'm just gonna ask you, how are you gonna rate Kung Fu?
Listen, my rating is, I need to be clear. My rating is based solely on my personal experience. And because I rate it this way, I don't want you to not see it, because I think this needs to be seen. It needs to be recorded. You need to DVR it, especially if you're a person of color and you want to, because if shows like this, regardless of how I feel, if shows like this don't make it, it makes it harder for other opportunities to come. So I want to be very clear about this. I'm happy it's got a second season. People need to come see it, and you need to support it, and just put it on your DVR if you don't want to watch it. But for me, in my personal taste, it's a mismatch for my personal taste. So I'm not going to change my snack rating. It's still a 2. This wasn't written for me specifically, but I appreciate the fact that it's written for somebody else that should see it.
Okay, cool. All right, so you keep it at a stack. I'll jump in here real quick. I'm gonna keep my rating the same, man. I still had fun, and the fact that we brought up again the Last Dragon, which is one of my childhood favorites, right? I'm like, yeah, it's Nickelodeon. So I know what an impact that series had on me, and that makes me even empathize more with like a young Chinese or Asian audience watching this. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna grow up and be the next filmmakers and thinkers, and they're gonna look back on Kung Fu the way I looked back on The Last Dragon. So yeah, it further reinforces and strengthens my decision for it. So I'm gonna keep my full meal. Chuck, how you gonna rate Kung Fu, man?
Man, as it was not written for Centel, it was written for me. I'm giving it a full meal. I love YA content. Veronica Mars, Gossip Girl, Riverdale. Haven't gotten to One Tree Hill yet, but I heard I would love it. I can watch YA all day and just be giddy with my young, adolescent, pubescent girl that's in my heart and soul, and enjoy all of this show. And right after that, go watch American Horror Story and be totally cool with it. Totally cool with it. So this is going to stay a full meal for me. I'm glad it got a season 2. I hope they do more with the family. I hope Dennis gets introduced in the family, and I hope Evan disappears. And I'm gonna be upset if they make Nikki date Evan. I'm taking this down to some old BS.
Oh, you know it's coming.
It's coming.
You just said it's YA. They're gonna be like, it's gonna be Team Evan and Team Den. Like it's gonna be those
Team
two.
Henry, Team Evan. It is gonna
Team
be
Evan.
that.
It's gonna be like Brandon and Dylan all back over now. It's gonna be all the same thing. Yeah.
Understand why they named it Kung Fu the same way we have a show called Supernatural that's really not about supernatural stuff anymore. We got a show called Arrow that's really not about him shooting people in the head anymore. We got a show called The Flash, and it ain't about the Flash being fast. It's about the relationships.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's
on the
CW.
right network.
It is so CW.
And it's all CW. So they call it Kung Fu. They're like,
perfectly in its lane.
They're like, what makes this different from the other CW shows? They do a little bit of Kung Fu in it. They do a little bit of Kung Fu in it. I'm going to call it shit Kung Fu. They're going to do another one. It's going to be about a girl who plays basketball. They're like, what are we going to call this? We're going to call this basketball. That's what we're going to call it. Call this basketball.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's so I mean, for the person who was intended for, and that's what I did. I was like, this is fun, so I'm not going to think too much into it. All right, so we everybody kept the ratings the same, so it was a 3.75. We'll round up to a full meal. All right, Chuck, you got anything to say for us before we head out, man?
No. I just had a question. Are we going to do Peacemaker?
Yeah, next week. I was going to get to that. Next week we're doing Peacemaker. So episode 7, I think is the last episode.
Let's stay 7.
I thought it was 8. I thought it was 8.
8. Okay, it might be 8. It might be 8.
Okay.
So episode 8 drops Thursday, and we'll be on Wednesday. So yeah, we're gonna be one of your first takes on a review of Peacemaker, all the entire season. Yep.
Bet.
Okay. Cool. Centel, bro, you got anything to say before we head out?
Yeah, I hate people that criticize and don't give a positive example. So I'm going to try not to do that. If you want to see what's in my wheelhouse regarding people of color in the martial arts space, we did a review on Warrior that was really well received, and it met expectations for somebody like me and for us as well. And also another really good one that's not as hyper violent but shows phenomenal martial arts choreography is Enter the Badlands. Enter the Badlands is dope. And I think it's on Netflix. Yeah. So those two regarding people of color in the martial arts space are in my particular wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think somebody should pick up Enter the Badlands and just keep it moving. That cast still wants to do it. They're all older now.
Netflix, y'all hear that? Yeah, Netflix, y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Speaking of Warrior, we never did get a conclusion on that bet from Warrior.
Yeah.
Was it Warrior? No, Warrior, we got the bet.
No, okay. It wasn't Warrior.
It was
we lost the bet in Warrior.
It was the what you calling the super bad.
Wrapped in the cellophane.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that. The pandemic is almost over, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna have y'all fly out. We're gonna wrap her up in the chair. I gotta find a sturdy chair. I have these new mid-century modern chairs in my kitchen. You could break the chair to get out of that. They're flimsy chairs, but we're gonna find a really good chair. We're gonna wrap her up in cellophane and watch her struggle for about an hour and laugh at her, throw popcorn at her, and put it on film.
Okay, no, it just that was the other
in
day.
Her Wonder Woman outfit, because she said she's gonna dress as Wonder Woman to get out.
Warrior triggered me. I was like, we got a bet. That's the one. Me and Centel lost the one with Warrior.
Yeah. We pay what we're like Lannisters.
Yeah, right. We pay our debts.
Yes.
Yeah, we paid our debt. So yeah, we're gonna have to get y'all to do that one. All right, everybody, that concludes our show. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, man, shouts out to Digital Click. Digital Click provides the beautiful boarding and the decorations and everything out there. They keep us looking fly so we can perform at our absolute best. Please remember, if you are watching this on YouTube, to hit that subscribe button, or if you're watching it on Twitter or Facebook, to like us. And also, we're also going to be continue to do things on Twitch. We're not streaming directly from there, but we're going to do things such as charity, stuff for charity, live streams, things like that. So continue to support us there. Again, the Geekish Network is about adequate representation of underrepresented people, Black people, Latinos, Asians, minorities in general in this country, but not necessarily around the world, but not around the world. And we have actors, we have writers, we have directors, we have tech people, we have entrepreneurs, podcasters, all of these things. And we do this for you. So please continue to support us. And as we just talked about a little bit later, next week, tune in and we are going to be doing Peacemakers. I'm pretty sure we'll get some interesting conversation from that. So next week, tune in. Same back time, same back channel. Next week, Wednesdays. We'll talk to you guys later. Love you all. Peace.